Okay, so before I kick off this analysis, review, summary, comparison thing, I do have a quick correction to make from last episode's video. So on my last Sailor Moon Crystal video, I said it wasn't Usagi that put the disc in the computer and found out that the school was evil. It was Mamoru. No, I was fucking wrong. It was Usagi that put the disc in the computer. There's a panel right after that shows Mamoru also in front of a computer and seeing that same message. And I just got the whole thing mixed up, mostly because the manga is kind of paced like shit. Though that does now leave a question. The manga of where the hell was Mamoru? What computer was he seeing this on? You know, was he like in the same room as Usagi? Was he somewhere else? The best answer that I could come up with, since the manga has shit-ass pacing, is that after Mamoru was given that flyer, he just went to the school. He was in a class. He saw the thing on the computer when they gave him a disc. That's the best I can come up with. I really don't know what else that could be, since he clearly wasn't given a disc at any point prior to that, and he couldn't have been in the same room as Usagi when she was using the disc, because they don't go to the same school. So yeah, I just wanted to make that quick correction before I moved on, and thank you, Neko Tamer, for correcting me on that. So we're now on episode 3 of the series, and the major thing that happens in this episode is we get introduced to Rei Hino, who is our Sailor Mars. This episode is very faithful to its manga counterpart. The main things that are really different are just bits and pieces here and there that are just cut out. And a few little extra bits that are thrown in to space out the pacing and, you know, make the final battle scene more epic. The first change that I noticed is that, once again, they don't mention that Jedi is the Far East commander of the Dark Kingdom. And whenever Nephrite is introduced, he does not refer to himself as the North American commander. So it looks like they're just going to be cutting that whole concept from the manga out of this series. Which is kind of a shame because, like I said before, I like that idea. Like I said before, there were some scenes cut out, and first scene that was removed is the first scene where like there's some students in Usagi's class that are talking about the kidnappings. In the episode, it is replaced with another scene from the manga where they're just kind of recycling that same information, except it's now her classmate Umino that's telling her directly. And then after that scene, you know, there's Luna jumping on Miss Haruna's head. That was also cut out for some reason, which is really weird considering Haruna has had like no screen time so far in the series other than the first episode. And it's also the second time that they've cut out Luna interacting with someone. I would say that the biggest thing that they cut out, though, is a sequence where Usagi is on a bus with Mamoru. Now, they're still on the bus, and if you've seen the episode, you know that. But what they cut out is, first off, Mamoru hears Luna speaking and makes reference to it. Usagi notices that Mamoru looks kind of like Tuxedo Mask, and Mamoru takes notice that Usagi looks like Sailor Moon, which is why later on he's following her as Tuxedo Mask and, you know, sees her transfer to the flight attendant, and is there whenever she gets sucked into the portal. Where here they just kind of cut all of that out, and there's really no reason for him to be following her. In fact, the only clue that we get that he even was following her is that he was standing on the wall of the temple. And that happens so quickly, and you only see so very little of him, that's very easy to miss. In fact, I didn't catch it until I was watching it my second time around. Also, I'd like to point out that really, they're just now recognizing each other. Okay, like Sailor Moon, she's magical, you know, she's in a completely different outfit. I can see how he would not recognize her right off the bat, even though the hair buns kind of fucking give it away. But her not recognizing Tuxedo Mask as Mamoru is kind of fucking ridiculous. Bitch, the first 2 times you met him, he was in a goddamn tuxedo! The same fucking tuxedo that Tuxedo Mask wears! Plus, his mask doesn't really cover a whole lot. I mean, I know all Japanese people look the same to me, but I thought I was just being a dumb racist American. Nope, apparently the Japanese can't fucking tell each other apart either. So yeah, that whole little bit in this episode is kind of weird since, like I said, there really was no reason for him to be following her. The other major change in this episode isn't in subtraction, but addition. The final confrontation with Jedi has a good bit added to it. The whole him blasting Mercury and Moon with the ice power thing, completely added. Rey grabbing his arm and then getting frozen, but then her like using her powers and then, you know, fighting against him, also added. Also, the way she gets the transformation pen in the anime is a little bit different. In the manga, for some reason, Luna gives it to Ami and then Ami throws it to Rey. Where in the anime, it just kind of cuts the middleman out and Luna throws it to Rey herself. Another thing added is Rey recognizing Usagi as Sailor Moon. Once again, I thought they were magical, like you weren't supposed to be able to tell who they were. Rey recognized her, like, you know, they share a moment. Rey realizes that there are other people with special powers and she's not so different after all. It's kind of a hokey scene, but it's cute and like it works. One more thing worth noting is, I'm not sure if this is a change or not, but when they toast Jedi at the end, it looks like he wasn't actually killed. Like in the manga, they make it clear as fuck they roasted his ass. But in the anime, it's a little vague and ambiguous. Like, you see him getting engulfed in the flames, but you don't really see him, like, get kind of scorched or anything. Also, the follow-up scene with Zoe Zeit and Nephrite talking about him actually being killed is removed. So that also makes me wonder, it's like, did they actually kill him? Because I could have sworn I saw what looked like a close-up of Jedi in the next episode preview, where in the manga, that's supposed to be Nephrite. So I'm not sure if this is going to be where the anime starts separating from the manga or not. And speaking of separating from the manga, it's time for the comparison to the classic episode. The classic series counterpart to this episode and chapter is episode 10. So we only got one episode of filler between last episode and this one. And there are a shit ton of differences here. In the opening scene, we do not meet new Kings of the Heaven. We don't get to see Nephrite, we don't get to see Zoe Zeit. Also, Beryl's whole exposition about the silver crystal, that isn't there at all. From there, a lot of stuff is different. We get fed the same information, but it's in different locations, from different characters, things happen in a different order, and a lot of scenes are just cut right out from the manga. There were two major scenes cut from this episode. One being the scene from the arcade where Sailor Moon gets the communication watches. Yeah, they don't get them at all in this series, as far as I remember. And the other one being the scene on the bus with Mamoru. That entire segment's cut. And beyond that, there's a whole bunch of little minor scenes that are cut here and there. Like I said, there's a lot of things rearranged. And we're given a whole bunch of new scenes. First off in this episode, we get to meet Rey's grandfather. He makes his debut in this series. Then there's also Jedi. Instead of being the one who drives the bus, he's working at the shrine. Usagi's reason for going to the shrine isn't because of her crazy lesbian lust for Rey, but instead because her and her friends want to go buy some good luck charms. Also, the parents who get upset with Rey about their missing kids, it makes a little bit more sense in the classic episode. They make very direct connections that, like, that the shrine may actually be involved. In fact, that the police are investigating the shrine. Also, in the classic series, Rey's kind of a bitch. Well, bitch is kind of a strong word. Really, she's just very no-nonsense, and she does not put up with Usagi's ditzy shenanigans. Rey also doesn't put up all the bullshit accusations against her shrine. Where in the manga, in the classic episode, she gets upset and, looks like she's about to cry. Here she just goes, no, fuck you guys, get the fuck out of my shrine, I have nothing to do with this, leave us the fuck alone. And though it ends in a very similar fashion, it is also very different once again. Tuxedo Mask does not find out that Usagi is Sailor Moon. Luna actually goes into the portal with Usagi. Ami isn't involved in the fight at all. And the biggest change is Jedi is not killed. In fact, Jedi won't get bumped off until a filler episode later in the series. And there's the comparison part of this video. So yeah, that's how the three versions differ, but which one is the best? Honestly, I kind of have to go with the classic series again. And I'd like to think that, my viewers are used to me by now and know that I'm not the type of person to be swayed by nostalgia. The classic version just had better pacing. The scenes that were removed really weren't necessary. It had a nice balance of humor and action. What really kind of kills it for the manga and the Crystal episode is just the concept as a whole. Like, everyone clearly suspects the bus. Everyone thinks that it is the bus that is sweeping people away. And a lot of people know about it, and the police don't get involved at all. Like, it's never even brought up. And honestly, I think it kind of hurts the Crystal version of the story the most, since this version is kind of devoid of humor. The fact that it wants to be taken so much more seriously, but then doesn't want to focus on serious real-world elements of, what would happen in these situations, I think really hurts it. The manga is silly. The classic series was silly. And it was able to get away with these things a bit better. In fact, the classic series covers this up completely, where people treat the bus more like an urban legend. And the police are investigating it, because people are getting good luck charms from the shrine, and then they, get all phasey-eyed and get on the bus and get whisked away. So, oddly enough, the silliest, cartooniest version of the story is the one that's kind of the most grounded in reality. If I were to rank the three iterations of the story, it would have to be the classic series on top, then it would be the manga. Really what holds back the manga is the fact that it doesn't kind of focus on, like, why are the police not being involved. Also, like I said, the manga has some pretty shitty pacing. And then at the bottom would be the Crystal version. The reason Crystal's on the bottom is, like I said, the more serious tone demands that the series be taken more seriously. But then the storytelling doesn't want to take this series more seriously. And then there's also, you know, the scenes that are cut out from the manga, which, you know, kind of once again cause some plot holes with Tuxedo Mask. I'm really hoping that there'll be some scenes later on that kind of fill this in and, you know, give more explanation of Tuxedo Mask and explain why he's been following her. I don't know, maybe try to make him a little bit more like his classic series counterpart, that, you know, he's also there to protect Sailor Moon as well as look for the crystal. But we won't know about that until later on. Alright, I think I've been picking apart the story long enough. I'm Hail Zeon. Moon Pride, motherfuckers.